Well, welcome everyone to our presentation, our report on our pilgrimage to England, historic pilgrimage for our 250th anniversary. I'm Father David Michaud. For those of you who don't know, I'm the rector and went on this trip along with 24 other pilgrims. In fact, maybe I was kind of thinking I'd isolate the pilgrims over here, but you have taken your own seats. Although many of you are here, but maybe could you why don't we have stand just for a moment? If the pilgrims, if you could just stand for a moment so we can see who all went on this trip. This is pretty good. Now, okay, thank you very much. I need you all to help participate in this. So I'll start something out, but I really would like you to, if you've got a story or so, to also chime in. So the idea is we'll go ahead and we'll talk about what is pilgrimage, how did we travel. We'll spend a lot of time talking about the churches because it's a very churchy trip, and then we'll do a little bit about some of our history that we looked at and culture. And then just close with some kind of thoughts and impressions that we have, and I'm hoping that you all pilgrims might be able to chime in on that, and then see if people have any additional questions and all too. So we're trying to do it in that way, so it's not going to be like this moment and that moment and that moment. It's kind of more like the feelings in these different areas. So what is pilgrimage? Why is it different than just a trip overseas? We're doing it for the 250th anniversary, and we realized that 250 years ago, we were part of the Church of England. We were a chapel of ease for Stepney Parish, which is one of the parishes of the Church of England, and our bishop was the Bishop of London. And so we have these connections. I mean, the Church has kind of sent us and built us, and these are our roots. So we're coming back to take a look at and to connect with the roots and also where they are today and what our commonalities are. So this was designed to be a trip where we traveled around. We could have been, a lot of times trips kind of start in London and you go out and you come back, you go out and come back, and you go out and come back. Here we did a loop around. You can see in the this is kind of where we are in England. So we're at the southern part of England, the heart of England, I've known as it's called. And we started Heathrow Airport, went down to Winchester Cathedral. This is the first day, Winchester Cathedral. Then we went to Salisbury, and we're there overnight. The next day we went to Stonehenge, and then we traveled to Bath. Here, ancient city of Bath, the Roman baths, St. Francis Hotel. And then the next afternoon, we went to Wells Cathedral for evensong on Saturday night, and came back to the Francis Hotel and then for dinner and the overnight. And then we were at Bath Abbey for Sunday morning Eucharist. And then in the afternoon, we went through the Cotswolds, way up there. Went to, what's the...
Warden on the Water.
Warden on the Water, yes. Delightful area. So we did a lot of travel that afternoon, and we ended up at Stratford upon Avon, a birthplace of William birthplace of William Shakespeare, and where he is buried. And then we took a ride down to Oxford, and we were there for night. And then we ended up back in Kensington outside of London, and we spent the night and then the next day in London and took off from Heathrow. So that was our path. It was not something where we're just kind of looking at it from afar, but we tried to participate in the life of the church and in the culture as well. We attended services and we attended pubs, and so I think. So let me see. Let me go to the next slide. So how do we travel? So we traveled. We took the bus from the Walmart parking lot and took a overnight plane to United to Heathrow where we were met by, I'm forgetting her name. Sarah, yes, Sarah, who was the contact in the travel agency out there, and or travel agent, and then Tim Hudson, who is our amazing tour guide. And then we were also driven by Carl, and we were driven on this bus, the Grays of Eli. The cool thing about it, I think, was that it's the only bus that was gray, so it was so what did we do? We had to bring one suitcase and then a personal bag, and so into the airport, and then we'd have to put them. They would be put into the bus, and then they'd bring them up to our rooms. Then we had to bring them down. So we were lugging stuff around and couldn't be too heavy with what we were doing. So it was. I think we got used to it after a bit. Kind of got used to the routine. And every morning we had an English breakfast. What do we have for English breakfast?
Baked beans.
Baked beans, yeah. Mushrooms, tomatoes, and then eggs and bacon. Yeah, every day. Very good. Anything else you remember about the traveling around? Want to share about the travel before we get to the church?
There's plenty of room on the bus to sort of spread out.
Yeah.
And what a great driver Carl was.
Oh yeah. Very entertaining. Yeah, I mean, and the two of them had never worked before, so
It was amazing. They just synced together totally.
Yeah.
Because they had to communicate back and forth with each other as far as where we were going and how we were going to get there, and it was just smooth as could be.
Well, now I'm gonna make a call because I think we might have. Let's see if he's going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to.
Yeah.
Hello? No. Let's see if I can reach Tim. Yeah. I'm going to see. Oh! This is our tour guide, Tim. Say, Tim. Can you, let me put you on speakerphone. Yes. I think I get you on mute or something. Well, speakerphone. Where's that thing? He's on WhatsApp, yes. Sorry, we're just trying to. Oh, here's some more volume. Okay. Can you say, Tim, say hello?
Hello, fellow pilgrims.
Hello.
No, let me get a microphone on this. All right, try it again.
Hello, fellow pilgrims. From the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Hello from Salisbury, Maryland.
Yes. Yeah. And you here?
I wish I were with you.
Father David,
Yes.
step back a little further so we can all see Adelaide.
Okay.
Yeah. You know,
Can you see
you've
it?
always got a place to stay, many places to stay.
Hello, was that Kathy just there?
Yes.
Say something in Shakespeare.
I recognize you too.
All right. All right.
So,
Some Shakespeare.
Tim, what are there any impressions you got? It's a risky question about this group.
Tell me there's other people here.
My impressions of St. Peter's Episcopal Church. What a charming congregation. What a charismatic leader of lovely, lovely people. And I was proud that my fellow Brits, the deans of the various cathedrals we went to, all gave you such a hospitable welcome.
Yes.
It's lovely that we managed to achieve all those encounters with like-minded people at these great places we went to visit on pilgrimage.
It was
Yeah.
great.
It was awesome. Awesome. People everywhere.
Can we come back?
Can we stay at your house?
Well, you,
It's a very busy time back here in London. It's the height of the tourist season at the moment. And of course, since you got back to the States, we've had a lot of excitement at Windsor with the wedding
Yes.
of Harry and Meghan.
We were watching.
yep.
So I've been to Windsor a few times.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we saw another Palace Royal.
Court.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that tour that you had with the priest from the Chapel Royal was the best tour I've ever had. Hampton Court.
That's saying something from a tour guide, a blue badge tour guide. Yes, yes.
Not only a tour guide, but a blue badge tour guide.
Yeah, she was listening.
Best of
She was
the
listening.
best. Yes.
He was looking for a job when he left.
So I mean, you really made the trip, Tim. Tim was like, but you know, there was never a quiet moment. It seemed like there was always some information he was giving us, and it was wonderful
Yeah.
to learn so much. Having a tour guide with us the whole time, he traveled all the way through, and it was just memorable. Memorable.
And then there were quizzes.
Oh, quizzes, yes.
Okay, so here's one
With-
for
Oh,
you.
here's a question.
What are the two types of Stonehenge?
Blue and the,
Sarsen and blue. Sarsen and blue.
Sarsen is right.
Blue,
the blue and the.
blue.
And Bluestone, yes.
Yeah, blue stone.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't you agree? He's not here at the moment, obviously, but we had a wonderful driver, Carl.
Yes.
Special as well. And was very considerate at all times. Not only a very safe and reliable driver, but those folks who preferred to stay on board the coach from time to time, he really looked after you as well. So we were very lucky to have someone like Carl on the crew too, I think.
Yeah. You two were perfect together.
Well, you were so great to take time out of your your day off to spend a few minutes with us, and it is joy just to hear your voice and to see you too.
All of you back on pilgrimage again sometime. God bless you all.
God bless you too. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, Jim.
What do you think, huh? I'll tell you, I wanted you all to just experience it because, I mean, he's got this very dramatic way of saying things, and so it just really, and he's told great stories, and it just really made the trip.
He's an actor.
Yeah, he's an actor, yes.
Theater, yeah.
So that was a very, very big part of this. Okay. All right, that was next, okay. So let's talk about churches. We went to a number of different churches, and we've got so many pictures, but we'll just try to make some of them representative. The first church we went to was Winchester Cathedral, the longest cathedral in England. I think it was in England. And it is. Look at the, this is the high Gothic stonework of the nave. And then there's the choir. You know, like St. Peter's, we have different sections. Sections of the church. You got the nave where the people sit. You got the choir where usually the choir and the officials sit and honored. Yes. And then sometimes you'll have then the altar and the sanctuary in the back. So there's Winchester Cathedral. Lots of yes.
When they watched the royal wedding, they saw that.
Yes. Yeah. So when you evensong, that's the center of evensong would be in the choir in the middle there. So just beautiful. And when these cathedrals are built in medieval times, so they're hundreds of years old, and yet are really well preserved. Then we went to Salisbury Cathedral, which has the tallest spire in England, and It's just a few feet shorter than another one out in Europe. Otherwise, it'd be the tallest in Europe.
I've always wondered how many people died building this.
I know. Yeah. And it took years. Now, Salisbury Cathedral, I believe, was built in less time than some of the other ones. What was it? 37. Yeah. But look at the front. Look at the face. The west face. I mean, that's what you come into when you go to all these cathedrals, and it's just awe-inspiring to walk through that inside.
Bill, do you remember what it costs to keep those cathedrals up?
Oh gosh.
That they supported us?
It was $1 million to $1.5 million a year. No, maybe more than that. No, I don't recall exactly. Something like 16 million. Yeah, like 16 million, I think.
And they apparently don't get help from the government, so it's more of that's why they're charging fees to go into these churches.
The little parish church where Winston Churchill was buried, it cost 150 pounds per day to maintain that. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
This is the interior of Salisbury Cathedral. The different tones of stone used in here are really cool. They reminded me of the different tones of brick that we use in ours, too. What else? Let's see. I don't know why this is not clicking right. Oh, here we go. So there I am, suited up for evensong. I was actually I was invited to read the gospel lesson, so my voice reverberated throughout Salisbury Cathedral. It was very exciting. And then afterwards, I'm there to give the presentation of the letter and a print for the 250th anniversary. And so I did borrow the cassock and surplice. I couldn't fit that into my suitcase, but I did bring my tippet. So that was pretty cool. And let's see. But the cool thing about Salisbury Cathedral, this is the end of the first day. They had renovated this model of the church, and that was the day they were dedicating it. So the choir and all of the people moved to the back of the nave from the choir there, and then they had the dedication, and that's when the boys' choir sang.
You can see all the champagne bottles.
That's right. Oh, they're celebrating. You're right. Very good. So I guess one of the things too about being in the church is it wasn't for us. It wasn't just a visit. So we weren't like tourists just viewing it, and it was amazing. But we were then part of the liturgy, the service, the celebration, the life of the church. I mean, we were invited to come back and have champagne and celebrate as well because we were there. So it was very meaningful. I kind of think we hear that the churches are empty in Europe. That there's nothing that all it is just tourist tracks, just museums. And certainly it can be for people that are just going there to visit. But when you're there for the services, people are jamming in to the seats and want to be there, and have been, just do things. I mean, this is what you would hear every night. Every night, people just come. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. Other. I've got a couple more slides of some more churches, but other things that come to mind. Yeah. Yes. Then we were at Wells Cathedral. And look at the front, look at the west face here. And then we are there's our group there the next Saturday and Saturday. Now, this is the most unusual things in Wells is look at that scissor arch. That is just something you see at Wells because they decided to put in a spire or tower afterwards. And when they put it in, the walls started coming. We're not going to handle it. So I think it was the 1200s. They did that. So they put in this scissor arch. It looks really modern, but it was built in the 1200s, and it is just glorious. Now this is the nave over here, and through this door you get to the choir. So if you do evensong, you can hear it out here, but you can't really see anything because and the organ is right up top here too. You got a picture of that the other way. Let's see. Yeah. So there's the choir. So that's on the other side of the screen there. And that's where kind of you guys were sitting, right in there. So yeah. Very colorful. You know, the interesting thing that Tim said was that in medieval times the cathedrals were painted. So it wasn't just stone. It was all this paint. It was really amazing. So there's color in here, but there was even more color for that. It's all kind of washed up. And then that was where we had evensong, and they had not only did we make a presentation, but they had I think it was the annual meeting of the choirs, and so they had the men's choir, the girls' choir, the boys' choir, and their alum that were all singing. So the voices, I wish we had a recording. If anybody has one, let me know. But it was, yes. We were in the middle, you guys were in the middle of it. I was sitting next to the dean over by the entrance there. But at the end, we came back. I did get a video of
The clock.
I didn't get it. Well, I didn't get that, but yes, there's the clock there. Yeah, we got it. But here's, let's see. Here's just a little bit of at the end of the service. After I made my presentation at the altar, we were coming back, and the choir had already gone in. But you can kind of see maybe some of the people here. So that's the end of the service. Ending the presentation. There's some of the choir over here. Yeah, there's the picture right there. And then he greeted everyone way back, and there's, I know the choir's already left here, but that's the, and we were right here. So yeah, I mean, what, any other comments about that service?
Well, I'd just like to say that the reason that we had this welcome everywhere, and we were treated so royally, was that Father, in advance, had paved our way so that we were greeted as really honored guests. And every time he said, the mother church, our mother church, they all stood up a little straighter.
Yeah. And here we are at Bath Abbey. There's Bath Abbey Church in the background, and the Roman baths are in the foreground. The Roman baths are like on the other side of the plaza from Bath Abbey, and that's now actually there's no abbey there anymore, so it's just basically a parish church, but it's a glorious parish church. I don't know if I've got anything here. I did give a presentation, so let me see if that'll come through. Worship day, as we worship with you. I have a letter reading from the bishop. It's a long letter, which bishops' letters tend to be, so I will just read a portion of it, if I may. Greetings from the Diocese of Easton, the Episcopal Church in Eastern Maryland, USA. I'm grateful for your hospitality to these pilgrims from St. Peter's who are here to worship with you and learn about and experience sacred and secular sites of our Mother Church and our Mother Country, and take back to their fellow parishioners what they have encountered. This historic pilgrimage emphasizes for the parish the importance of the Church of England and their history as witnesses for Christ in Salisbury, Maryland, USA. I am sorry I am unable to travel with these pilgrims, but I'm with them in spirit, and thank you for welcoming them in love and kindness. Every blessing. The Right Reverend Santosh Murray, 11th Bishop of Easton. And I'd like to also present to you, to this parish, a print that was made especially for our 200th anniversary, a print of our church back in Salisbury, Maryland. Thank you all so much for your hospitality.
That's beautiful. Thank you ever so much, David. And I probably want a photograph. And God bless you, and a very warm welcome to all of you who've come from the States. And God bless you on the rest of your pilgrimage. Thank you.
So one of the churches we went to, it wasn't a cathedral, was Trinity Church, and that was in Stratford upon Avon, because that was the place where the grave of William Shakespeare is. And does anybody, can we read? Let's see. His engraving is, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear, to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be the man that moves my bones. But it's also, part of the church is part of the life. I mean, William Shakespeare is in this church, and Anne Hathaway too, and we also saw his birthplace and all of that. And he was, I think he was. I don't know if he's. I think he was on the vestry, and he definitely paid some money to get buried in there too. But another church we visited. Okay, next. And now this is what Tim was talking about. This is the Chapel Royal in Hampton Court Palace, one of the palaces of the royal family. It was taken over from Cardinal Wolsey by Henry VIII, and each of these palaces has their own chapel. And so the chapel here is not under the bishop, the Church of England. It's a peculiar that is under the Queen herself. So he works for the Queen. He is the chaplain of the chapel. The cool thing was that we were told when we came in, no pictures. And Tim said, "I'm sorry, I can't guide in here. You have to be quiet." And so he came in. So I talked to the docent, and I said, "We're here. Our pilgrims from Salisbury," and he comes in. Right? And he says, and I make the presentation and all that. And he says, "You may take one picture." And I said, "Well, you have to be in it." So we have it of the altar area. And if you've got one of those pamphlets, you can see because that's the only way you could get pictures would be that pamphlet. We have that. And then he proceeded to give us a lecture for about 15, 20 minutes about the chapel, about where the Queen sits, and about where the choir and all of that. And the choir, they're all the chapels are kind of run together, and so the choir is wherever the Queen is. So, for instance, the choir at the wedding would have been the choir that would come here when the Queen is here, and so we got to hear them if you saw them. Other thoughts or reminiscences about?
I have a question. The
Yes.
print you're holding, is that the one that's upstairs?
Yes. Smaller version of it, yes.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that?
About the print? That is the Eric Saylor print.
Not the, I'm sorry, there's one upstairs next to our Eric Saylor.
Oh, well, that was a gift. That's from Salisbury, England, and I believe Bill, you had a Mac. Yep.
Mac and I, when we go on trips like this, we typically bring something back to the Bible grouping instead of bringing pencil back or something. We chose to bring the print of the Salisbury Cathedral back. That's what you see.
So I said, let's hang it next to our print, because as a reminder of our 250th. Yes.
It's in the library. I mean,
So it's hanging up in the parlor next to our 250th.
Both Bill and Mac have signed it and put on something about the date. Mac bought the print and Bill got it framed.
The one thing that's missing is the date. We didn't put a date on it. We got to put it on the back of it.
Yes.
Was this the one when we were discussing how old the church was in comparison to the 250? They said, put it this way, we've had 181 bishops.
Oh, this is this one here. This is this one here. Let me go in a bit. Now we're at St. Paul's Cathedral, which is the cathedral in London, built by Christopher Wren. Unbelievable, beautiful place. And we were able to meet with the canon because the bishop of London, who is about to be or enthroned or installed as the Bishop of London, she was not in during that day, but he was her emissary. So we met in the back of the cathedral, and I made my presentation, and he had some great comments. I'm reading the whole thing, which you probably don't want to hear, but what I'll do is I'll come in the spirit. I'll put them down maybe toward the end. And I will note, too, that our bishop, when we were founded in 1768, was the Bishop of London. And so I am grateful that we are able to then bring these greetings, and also on behalf of our pilgrims, we'd like to present to her this this commemorative print done just for this year, for our 250th year. And it's a gift from St. Peter's Church on the occasion of St. Peter's sesquicentennial pilgrimage to England in April 26 to May 3rd, 2018.
Well, thank you very much, and I shall pass that on to the Bishop as soon as I next see her, which will probably be at the rehearsal a week on Saturday for her installation. And yes, I was thinking the 11th Bishop. I'm afraid Sarah's our 133rd.
Yeah. 133rd Bishop of London, we got our 11th, yes. But the other thing too is you cannot take pictures in St. Paul's Cathedral, but he said I will allow a picture. And so I think the next one maybe is what, next. Yes, there we are. So you can see just the glorious, I mean, it is just an incredible, incredible worship space. Huge, and you can go up the dome. Somebody went up the dome. Yeah, you guys. Okay, no? Okay. And you go outside and see the view, and inside, and well, how was that?
A lot of steps. 567.
I think there's a video that they took outside of the dome. I don't know if you have it in here or not.
Don't have it here.
You do.
No.
Father David, may I just say something?
Yes.
I know I was going to keep my mouth shut because I'm not a member of the church, but there was something that struck me so much during every presentation. Father David always said that St. Peter's was founded as a church of ease. Mm-hmm. And I love that phrase, and I looked it up to see exactly what that meant because I was unfamiliar with it. And at one cathedral, and I think it was Wells, but somebody with a better memory than I will remember, that upon accepting the presentation and the print, said, well, it's very fitting that, we are accepting this from you because you were a country of ease for us during World War II. And I got myself chills thinking about it. That was the only place that anybody picked up on that phrase, but they said we were a country of ease for them. And I thought that was very meaningful.
Is that the cathedral that had the little chapel? Which one was that?
That would have been, that's St. Paul's Cathedral.
That's the chapel.
Because you could look up, and I know where on the windows, we couldn't take a picture, but on the windows on the west, up toward the top on the left side was the Maryland flag, because they had every flag of the Union on this chapel, which was at the asp at the back of the church, was east facing, and they also had a list of they had a list of all the people who died in World War II that had been in Britain. And they were on a book, and every day they would turn a page. 28,000, yeah. So it was very moving, too, to see that kind of tribute and that to Americans, too. So that was kind of our church experience. It was just absolutely moving. And Diane, you just hit all these amazing, it's just amazing places. Let's see, now, we also had some fun. This is in Salisbury. Well, actually, I think that's the Jane Austen, where her last days were spent. There's also a picture of her grave in Winchester Cathedral, which is kind of cool. But here's our first dinner in Salisbury at the White Hart Hotel. And there on the right is the now former mayor of Salisbury, who came and made some remarks at the dinner. So, and there we are just sitting in off of dinner. And then, of course, here's the sign that we made Carl turn around. Well, I said, we just passed the sign. Carl says, I will turn around. And he did. And we got a picture of it. It says, twinned with Salisbury, Maryland, USA. Also Salisbury, North Carolina. I don't know why that's at the top. That was pretty cool. Let's see, what else we got here?
They did it alphabetically.
Oh, okay. Here's some of the other sites that we saw. Who's that statue of, guys?
King Arthur.
No. King Alfred, right. Alfred the Great. Alfred the Great, Winchester. So right? Found in Winchester, yeah. Or that made king there. Stonehenge,
Built before the pyramids.
5,000 years ago. It was very moving, I'll tell you. How did
Cold and wet.
It was wet, it was cold. The Salisbury Plain was very cold and damp, yes. But it was just an incredible thing to see. And when you get to walk all around it, and it is a truly remarkable thing to know that people were worshiping and 5,000 years ago. They're not sure exactly what they were doing, but a lot of theories. Tim had a phrase for that. He kept repeating it, and I don't remember it. Something about an enigma and a. Here's the Roman baths, the largest baths. This is 200 AD, around there, and was just discovered in the 18th century. It's about 20 feet below street level, and they found these, and it's just truly incredible that the Romans, and of course the Romans were the first Christians in Britain. They brought Christianity to Britain, and so we've got that religion that far back too. Didn't just come with Augustine. Here's the Royal Crescent in Bath. Amazing piece of architecture.
Neat, round, kind of, all the stones in Bath, and that yellow stone. What's the most of that?
Is that Minerva?
Yes.
Yeah, that was because they had the baths. They had a shrine where the source of the bath water was, and so they would do it to a god, and then it would flow into the baths. And then all through, if you go from the baths, there's all these rooms and chambers. Some of them are hot chambers, some of them cold chambers.
And you could drink the water.
Yes. We drank the water. Not that water in there. You do it. Something coming out of the spring. Just incredible. Just the history. The history. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and thousands. There's a spring. Yes, a hot spring. It's one of the only hot springs in all of England. In Roman times, it would be a destination. So people would come from all over the Roman Empire and take a boat to England, to Britain, to bathe in these baths. Just incredible. World heritage site. Shall we move on to some other history? So we had, right next to Wells Cathedral was the Bishop's Palace. And so that's the entrance to the palace. It's got a moat. And then it's got all these buildings in there. There's a lot of other pictures we could take. But Tim was also speculating at the time that the people in Wells really didn't like the bishop. And so he kind of fortified stuff up so we could be able to live. We also went to Sark-upon-Avon. I don't have a picture. That's Anne Hathaway's house down here. Absolutely gorgeous. The garden is fantastic. There's Puck, a statue there. And there's many more we could do. I'm just kind of representing it. Any of these pilgrims probably have a number of pictures in these different areas. This is Oxford. Part of the Bodleian Library, or the Divinity School.
Divinity School.
Yeah. And then here is the Oxford Martyrs Monument, which for me had very significance because when I was a senior in seminary, you get to preach a senior sermon at the chapel, and I was doing on the feast day of Ridley, Latimer, and Cromwell, which are the martyrs here. So I knew very much about this, and to just see this is the place where Queen Mary burned them at the stake. Actually, it's around the corner. There's a right in the middle of the street. There's a cross, and I almost got hit by a bicycle. But really, I mean, part of our heritage, and that was back in the 1400s? No, 1500s. Yeah, when Queen Mary.
Above the, I think it was sort of above the Divinity School was the Bodleian
Library, yes.
Which was quite fascinating, but they were really adamant about not taking pictures. And our esteemed organist, Robert, sent a picture before they told him not to. I tried to tell it to him, but it didn't told him it's not going myself. But I thought I did a very ingenious thing. I bought a postcard and then I took a picture of it.
Other memories, guys? Things that.
The librarian chair.
Oh yes, that was wonderful. We had there's right in the back of the library. It's a long library with different levels and all, and they have some of the oldest books. In fact, they're on chains, some of them, because and right in the back there's a large chair, and that's where the librarian would sit. And at the time when it was time to close, the librarian would say, "Let's go." And so the tour guide said to Sarah, "Well, why don't you sit in that chair?" Not knowing that she's our librarian. Very cool.
Where's that picture?
You can't take pictures in there, yeah. Just a memory. Here's Henry VIII's little house. That's Hampton Court Palace, right on the Thames. And just a marvelous structure. That's where the Chapel Royal is. When we came, we went straight, made a beeline for that to have the to have that tour, and then we toured around a lot of it after that. I think I have a picture of the refectory. Yes, there's Ron. There's Tim. But here's, it's just kind of like, this is the tapestries. This is where they would just eat their meals.
You gotta see the ceiling in this place.
Yeah.
You have a picture of the ceiling?
Yeah, I do. I think I go around. And so, yeah, that would be, that's just a little window they have, too. And there's the ceiling, yeah. That's, the Great Hall, that's where they'd have the bank. That's just where they'd eat dinner. Henry would eat in another place. But everybody, they had, how was it, like thousands of members of the court they have to feed every day. There we are.
Hey, Tim.
That's good. There's Robert. Yeah, these tapestries. I mean, still original tapestries. It's incredible.
They used to change them like back in the daily. Wow.
Next. These are some shots. So then the last thing we'll end up with is shots in the country and the city. This is in the Cotswolds. I forget. It's a wonderful name of a town.
Stonewall.
Yes, Stonewall. Yes. And then here is Bourton on the Water. And then here's some kind of pastoral scenes too. As we're driving by, I mean, then being in the coach, called coach, you just see all these wonderful scenes rolling.
Oh, the landscape was just magnificent. Such a deep, deep green. And then there's the yellow. There's the yellow, yeah. And that's where the tops make olive oil. Canola. I thought it was all the things. It's canola.
Yeah.
Olives do olives, yeah. Olives.
And then we have the city. So we're touring London. We had a day to do that. So Big Ben is silent, and it's all in scaffolding. So there it is in the Parliament buildings. And then here's the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace. Kelly and I got to see the changing of the guard, kind of. We were there. It was raining. There's the Eye. That's the Tower Bridge. This is Westminster Abbey at night. Tim took a few of us on a nighttime tour. We went on the tube and had a wonderful time. Went to a pub and it was delightful.
Notice that a lot of those telephone booths are sources for Wi-Fi now.
Yeah.
They don't use telephones, I don't think. I kept suspecting
Yeah.
Dr. Who or something.
Indeed. And then, of course, we took in, I don't know what happened. I had some more pub pictures. I don't know what happened to them. But we started out, our first lunch was at the Green Man, which is a wonderful pub in Winchester. And this is the Covered Market in Oxford. That's just, I think that might be Salisbury. Oh, it might, oh yeah, that's right, that's in Bath, yep. And then here we are in a pub in, a few of us in a pub in Oxford. There were some pubs, there were pubs in Stratford-upon-Avon. There were two pubs that vied to say they were the oldest pub in town. So Kelly and I had to go to both, so we didn't show favor.
That's your beer sitting there on that table.
Yes. And there we are. This is where we are, all hopeful. We just got there. We're tired. We haven't had any sleep, but we are hopeful about our pilgrimage. And I think it was a really special time. These are all the So I just want to conclude by just what people, if anyone pilgrims would like to share about what kind of what they got out of it, what was a special moment or a special learning or something that you encountered on the trip. Just as you want to start. Oh. She was
I wasn't on the trip, but I just wanted to say thank you to Diane and Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to do that. Anybody?
I'd like to just say that it felt to me that in everything that we did, everywhere we went, we were followed with God's grace and blessings everywhere. Anything that could have happened, good, bad, went well. Every stop seemed to be better than the last in terms of all the things. Mac and I travel often in groups. It's annoying on a bus sometimes. People don't come back on time and people are not considerate of each other. There wasn't a moment of that. And it just seemed like at every place, even to us on our day in London where it was pouring rain, we got the best seat on the hop-off bus. We just stayed on. But it really, I just felt so moved by
There's a lot of love on the bus, too. There's a lot of love on the bus.
But I felt God's hand on us.
Yes.
As a non-church member, my husband and I went and joined the group, and we were so pleased. We've never been on a group tour before, and even as non-members of the church, we were loved. Everybody was just so patient with us, loved us to death, I think, because we enjoyed you guys so much. Father David, we couldn't have asked for a better leader than you. You put this together. You did a wonderful job. We just couldn't have been prouder to be a part of this group. And Englanders, they say, are stuffy, and we didn't find that at all. They were wonderful people. I have a niece that told me I should tell them that I was from Canada because the English don't like the Americans. But I'll tell you what, I shared that story with a few Englishmen women that we met, and it was nothing like that. It was so warm, so welcome. The landscape is what caught me. My husband's into the history. I'm into the landscape and the animals and all this kind of stuff. Lots of sheep.
Pheasants. We saw pheasants.
Yep, we saw pheasants.
On the side of the road. Wow.
Yep. And lots of sheep and horses. There were some horses there, and it was just lovely, lovely. If you ever get a chance to go, please do. It's well worth it. We want to go back for a week just in London, because that day we were there, it took us half the day to even find the bus that was where hop on, And but thank you. Fred and I thank you very much, Father David, and all the rest of you that were on the trip.
Yeah, for me, it was just the beauty of the countryside, the churches, just being there. It was every day I was like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is just becoming so much closer to people that I see quite a bit at church and meeting new friends from, that do not go to St. Peter's and just developing different friendships.
Thank you.
I've never been anywhere but Canada before, but I was impressed with the cleanliness, with the food that I thought was going to be awful. I was told that English cooking was terrible. It was wonderful everywhere we were. You know, I had an English parish in Niagara Falls, and the food was terrible. So I was expecting it to be bad. It was wonderful.
It was very good.
Just a lifetime opportunity. Got to go back and spend a week in London.
There's a video of a shot of London from up at the top of St. Paul's. One of the things that was remarkable about London is that you think of London as what it is, a place that has been forever built like it is. But you take a shot across London and you see the new buildings going up, and they're glass protruding well above everything else.
The largest is the Shard.
Yeah.
Looks like a glass shard, and it's.
It does look like a big glass.
You almost have to get up above it to look down at it and see how London is changing architecturally. Really something.
Let me share one final thought that I was thinking about, and that is, we're doing this trip because it helps us to get to our roots. And I was thinking about the fact that back in 1768, there was no bishop here. You had, in order to be ordained, you had to be in England. And so, and most people coming over were English. So your rector back that time was English. And so I just think about the fact that they were probably ordained in one of these grand cathedrals. They knew the finest, they were part of this civilization, and they come to America, and they're at these smaller, more rural churches. But yet, because this is what they know, they just bring the splendor, and they bring the beauty of the liturgy and the customs and all to towns like Salisbury. And you can see where that comes from. And we're young, 250 years, they're hundreds of years old. But they're bringing all of that, and that's part of our DNA, folks. And it's a gift that has been given by them to us. And that's kind of where we start. So I think it's also been neat to kind of experience that. And we'll experience different times of our history, but the beginning's there, and to know that people came from especially the priests, came, and they're not going back. That's where they're going to be. So, very nice. Are there any questions about anything you're wanting to know that you didn't hear, or anything you're curious about? Yes, sir.
One question: with so many British breakfasts, what was the cumulative total weight gain by?
Hey, I gotta tell you something. I lost the pound. Because I've been walking so much. I walked 24,000 steps in London. So the walking really did that. Thank you all very much for coming. Thank you.